Both memberships have an aging membership. We know that as well. So we're not bringing in as many as are looking to retire in the next 3 to 5 years. And what that means is we are going to have to recruit and look at different ways for recruiting for members within our profession. So we know that the firms are looking at all 3 designations, whereas before they weren't looking. Industry is looking for all 3 designations. They're looking for that baseline, right? They're looking for that training. We also know that CAs are increasingly working and now training outside of public practice. You know, one of the things in the forums is you'll see a lot of older members that will say, well, the benefit of the CA is you get to go to a lot of different clients, right, and learn the process over and over and over again. You learn the process. However, with the introduction of CATOs, which is CA training offices, that's no longer the fact. Right? You can get your designation while being in workforce. That will increase. So we're seeing our lines converge. What used to be differentiation is no longer. There's been changes to our programs. We've mapped out our competency frameworks. They're very similar. When we take a look at what we're looking for coming out, they're very similar in what the skill levels are. So who is enforcing the differentiation? Or is there? And we have to look at that as we move forward. We need a more compelling, unified voice globally. Anyone who's gone through an IFRS conversion will speak to this. One of the reasons that IFRS was not as smooth as an implementation as it was in the UK was because the UK did a direct conversion, right? June 30th, everyone's going to stop with their accounting. July 1st, everyone's going total IFRS. And that worked for them. So then at a global standard setting, because Canada did not have a strong enough voice to say, how is this going to impact Canadian accounting? How are we going to be able to do this? We've found ourselves in a situation where now we're being told to implement this, and we have to make exceptions for charities, and we have to make exceptions for private companies, and we have to make all of these different exceptions to make it work with our system. Well, the only way to make sure that that doesn't happen on the back end is to have a stronger voice on the front end. When you're looking at global standard setting, we're seeing the same thing happen when we look at international standards on auditing, which is coming into play. Right? So we need a stronger voice to make sure that what is implemented is something that will suit our needs. You look at the CPA in the States, they're still not implementing IFRS because they don't feel that it suits their needs presently. And they're a strong enough voice that they can say that. And we know that we're competing in global capital markets, and they all have unique accounting needs, and we need to be aware of them. And so we need a stronger voice so we get that information. So one of the things you hear, and if you're on the forums, is we talk about dilution. People worry about diluting the marketplace. But if we don't do something to address the fact that other accounting organizations are going global, then we're going to have huge dilution in the marketplace where you will no longer see CGA, CMA, CA may apply, but you'll see CGA, CMA, CA, ACCA, CPA US, CIMA may apply. Right? You need a stronger unified voice for the Canadian accounting profession if you're going to compete against that. ACCA right now is in legislation to try to allow them to come into the country to offer their program. Not just practice in, but offer their program. So we need to be aware of that. CPA Australia is very interesting, case in point. Only 1/3 of CPA Australia members live in Australia. Because they don't care where you pay your dues from, right? Just pay your dues. It's part of their strategic growth strategy to go beyond their borders. It's a smart strategic move to be able to offer the designation in other countries, set up mutual recognition agreements with other countries, have the whole educational piece in there, right? To build your brand, to build strength. So our approach, a common banner. So we went with a chartered professional accountant. There are some people who said, well, why wouldn't you go with public accountant? Well, the reason we didn't go with public accountant is because we're not all public accountants. And what we wanted was a banner that really captured the whole business professional, the breadth of what it is that we say that we do. And for some, that will be public accounting, but not for all. Right? It's not for the majority of the CMA membership. across the country, not public accounting. So we chose professional accounting, knowing that it would be a unique combination of financial and management accounting expertise, with the goal that we would be the preeminent business designation in Canada and abroad. It will require a new qualification program. We know that. We know that to merge elements within both programs, there's going to be some give and take and looking at what is the core, what has to be in there, right, to make sure that we all have that same baseline going forward. And we're working on that in tandem so that we can have something to show to our membership as we move forward. The important thing to note is it doesn't require either to issue its designation to the members of the other. So CMA is not going to be giving the CMA designation to CAs, and the CAs aren't going to give their designation to us. You don't gain anything, you don't lose anything. If you weren't working in public accounting and now you get the CPA, you can't work in public accounting. That's not what it means. Right? So the CPA is a new designation that we'll be working towards, which is why we have the tagging situation. So what's on the tables is a legacy tagging situation where you would be a CPA, CMA. Now that would be for a minimum, or probably a maximum, I'm using the wrong word, the maximum will be 10 years. At that time, you can choose to keep your legacy designation. Right? I have CMA forever on my license plate, and I don't really plan to change that. I'll keep the legacy designation. I'm proud of the CMA designation. The CAs can keep their designation. But moving forward, if the decision would be made to go with CPA, all branding of the two designations would cease. And we would only brand the CPA designation moving forward. Right now, it makes a lot of sense. One, for member pride, one of the things in 2004 which shut the deal down was that everyone was going to become CAs. And CMAs went, no, I don't think so. Right? I chose my designation for a reason. But the other reason is marketplace confusion. You know, without having a core program, without having something that everyone's going through, how can we drop our tagging and say we're all CPA? Right? How does the marketplace view that? How are they going to look at that? Right? So we need to build that common banner and that common program before we could put this in place.